Views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the station, its management, or advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
You have just tuned in to Tales from the Merworld with me, Ameera Beth, exploring the mysteries of Atlantis and Lemuria. Are you ready to explore and validate the possibility that we are much more than our Earth bodies, and that we exist simultaneously in many different realms and realities? In this show, I will offer esoteric concepts like 5D, sacred geometry, the merbeings, and lost lands like Atlantis and Lemuria. Be ready to feel empowered and an active part of the changing Earth. Tales from the Merworld Radio starts now. Aloha, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Merworld Radio. This is a program where we talk about ancient lands like Atlantis, Lemuria, Avalon, Egypt, and even outer space. Over the course of this past year, this show started in February, right, the day after my birthday on February 27th. I have really had the pleasure to be in front of you all a couple of times a month and talk about all the things that I'm most passionate about. You know, talk about my spiritual mission, why God sent me here, you know, why I'm here, and what I'm here to bring forward to the collective to help us all in our evolution and our growth. And I just really want to mention what a wonderful year of growth this has been for me to, you know, be live in front of a camera and have guests and have callers. And, you know, if we don't take chances in our lives, if we don't, you know, branch out and expand, nothing grows where it's comfortable. And I just want to make note that this has been an absolutely tremendous year of growth for me, 2020, as I think it has been for most all of you. This year has pushed all of us way beyond our comfort zone into many events and episodes and really a lifestyle that has not been so comfortable. But you know, this world is going through great and tremendous change, and we all knew before we came that when the big changes came to kind of pull us out of one paradigm and start preparing us for the next paradigm, that it wasn't going to be easy. So even if consciously we weren't really ready for all the things that happened, especially this year, and the things that are going to happen beyond, you know, unconsciously in our higher self, we've been preparing for this our whole life, or maybe for many lifetimes. And I'm very excited to be recording this show on December 21st. If you're watching this show today, this was recorded on the solstice, on the longest night of the year. And of course, the talk is all about this great alignment that we've had between the planets Jupiter and Saturn. But before we get into that, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about why I'm so passionate about the esoteric, mythology, theology, and ancient history. The reason I'm so passionate about it, and the reason I really am here to speak about it, and to speak about legendary, mythologically type of lands like the Merworld, which is the realm that I am from. If I'm brand new to you, my name is Ameera Beth Merhealer, and I live on the beautiful island of Kauai, and I am an incarnated merbeing, meaning my soul, the origins of my soul, the aspect I work primarily through in this reality is from the Merworld. And so many of you out there, you know, you may kind of wonder, are mermaids even a real thing? We are real. And there are many of us from many mer people, many from the Mer Kingdom, from the great kingdom of Atlantis, who are here on this planet right now with assistance to humanity. Atlantis was a sister community to the great kingdom of Atlantis, which was a land, not mythological, but a actual land mass and society that went on for hundreds of thousands of years. And my passion about speaking to and speaking for, being a voice for the great kingdom of Atlantis and for the Mer people is really to reunite all of us to the magic and the mystery of worlds and sensations and experiences that are outside of our 5 sensory experience, that are outside of our everyday physical type of mundane. And if you've been a follower of the show this year, you've heard me talk about some of these concepts before that I'm going to go ahead and repeat just a little bit more. And for some of you, it might be like hearing it for the first time, because when we get information, sometimes when it's brand new to us, one or two things usually happen. Either we kind of deny it, or we think, oh, that's crazy talk, or it awakens something within us. And it's my hope that when I speak about the great kingdom of Atlantis, when I talk about the Mer, and when I talk about Lemuria, that it triggers some kind of action or activity in your subconscious and in your cells. Because I think on the very deepest level, we all kind of know that, we're from somewhere else, or this body that we inhabit is really not all that there is. Many of us feel very connected to the stars and to the planets. We feel very connected to, other extraterrestrial societies, like maybe the Pleiadians or the Sirians or the Andromedans. Many of us feel very connected to the whales and to the dolphins, or maybe even to, the fairies and the elves. We know intrinsically from the fairy tales that we love so much as children that there really is magic out there in the world. There really is so much more than, me being this physical presence, me being my name and my identity and my personality. We know on a very deep level that we carry something inside of us that is very unique and very special. And if your heart or your soul has a calling to connect to that, or to come deeper into what that calling or that purpose might be, that's where someone like me can come in. I have a website, ameerabeth.com. I use the term Ameera Mer Healer to kind of talk about who I am out in the world. Mer Healer meaning my main connection to the water is what brings forth my healing gifts. And it was my past life regression, my first past life regression, where I went into the water and remembered myself as Mer, that really catapulted me into that mystery and that magic of discovering more about who I was, where I came from, and why I'm here. We are all multidimensional beings. And through past life regression therapy, through shamanic work, through meditation, through just connecting to nature all around us, we are discovering so much more about the magic that lives inside of us. If you were interested in receiving a past life regression, or maybe going deeper into your Atlantean or your Lemurian lifetime, or a lifetime really in any other realm or reality, I do past life regression therapies, have been doing past lives for about 12 years, trained past life regression therapists, and also take people into etheric realms, just meet with their guides and meet with their angels, because, who doesn't want to know a little bit more about who your higher guidance is around you? Maybe who, that little voice in your head, or, that feeling in your gut when you receive an intuition, a little bit more about where that's coming from. And then I also am an Atlantean 13 chakra and aura clearer and opener. So I help people move from just maybe knowledge base of the 7 chakras into the totality of the 13 in the human auric system, clear those, open those, and then teach you and heal you a little bit about your auric field. So that's a little bit about me if I'm brand new to you. And then you can find this series on YouTube as well, out of the entire Tales from the Mermaid World series, where I go really in depth and I interview a lot of great people on what they specialize out in the world, what they are here to bring forward and to give and to gift to humanity through their gifts. And so I would encourage you, if I piqued your curiosity at all, to do a little bit of research on the rest of my program and the rest of my offerings. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the other cool things that I do out in the world with sacred geometry here a little bit later in the program. But for now, just know that this is a very special and potent day out in the planet. And what better way to kind of complete off 2020, this epic year of 2020, than with the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter coming together in the skies. And I got up real early this morning. I got up before dawn and I made my mate, and I went and I took a walk up to a high peak called Shipwrecks Rock with a friend of mine. And we looked into that star, which definitely resembled, a star of Bethlehem as it was kind of shaped up in the sky. We stood in front of that in the early morning hours. We looked at Venus, we looked at Mars, we looked at the moon, and, we just prayed and gave thanks, and we watched the sun come up on this longest night of the year, preparing to rebirth the sun in our solar system. And when I come back in just a few minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit more about something that is known as the Age of Aquarius, that this conjunction is kind of kicking off, I guess, for the rest of us. We're going to take a short commercial break, and I will see you soon.
Get empowered. Transformation Talk Radio.
Tales from the Merworld with Ameera Beth, exploring the mysteries of Atlantis and Lemuria, airing every second and fourth Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Tales from the Merworld Radio is a blend of mythology, theology, and ancient history, and Ameera's own soul channelings. Are you ready to explore and validate the possibility that we are much more than our Earth bodies? Ameera Beth's Tales from the Merworld Radio holds safe space discussions for remembrances and memories of topics like multidimensional existences and simultaneous lives. Together, we will be raising our vibrations through stimulating conversations and the opening and releasing of the remembrance of our soul purposes for this incarnation. Join me, Ameera Beth, for Tales of the Merworld Radio.
Are you ready to shift your current beliefs about death? From debilitating pain and loss? Follow Angie Corbett Kuiper as she shares that through choice, present moment awareness, and keeping an open mind. Anything is possible, even in death. Tune in to Beyond Proof Radio with Angie, redefining death and loss, every first Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more, visit BeyondProof.com.
Aloha, everybody, and welcome back to Tales from the Merworld Radio. I am your hostess, Ameera Beth Mer Healer. If you are brand new to or just tuning into our show today, I'm talking about the solstice and the Saturn-Jupiter convergence. And today is, as of the recording of this show, is December 21st. And the show airs on December 24th, which is Christmas, and TTR is closed. So they're letting me pre-record. And I was very, very excited when I realized I would get to speak today on the day of the actual energy of the winter solstices. And, I like to measure time in quadrants, in seasons. And so I always measure time and events and kind of ongoings between the solstice and the equinox, and then the equinox and the solstice and back around. And, we are now entering into winter, obviously. And the next 3 months, as we close off 2020 and we move into so many things that are going to be different in 2021, there's a lot of things that I would like you to know. We are exiting a number 4 month. So 2022s equal a 4. So we've been in a 4 month, which is very much about, we've called this the all seeing, or the seeing clearly everything, the 2020 vision month. And this is also, the 2020 vision. This has also been a year of foundation building. 4 is about foundation. And although it seems like this has really been a year where everything has kind of started to come down and kind of started to crumble, we're seeing, everything in politics and finances and all our structures starting to come down. It's really been about bringing a new foundation forward. And it's this foundation that we've kind of yet to see or yet to experience, because the dismantling of everything that's been going on, well, I'll say essentially for 13,000 years since the last fall of Atlantis. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that more. All of that dismantling has been taking place. And in 2021, we go into a 5-year. And 5 is all about change. If you follow numbers, I like to follow numbers. If you receive 5s in your life, or if you are a life path number 5, that's all about epic change. And so as much change as we think that we have seen this year, 2021 is going to kind of be hold my beer type of a thing. And we're going to go into a revolution of change for the restructuring that, most of us can't even really wrap our minds around yet, because it hasn't happened. And, any ideas that you might have about what this is going to be like, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice as we go through this, because we are collectively changing timelines very, very quickly. So some of the timelines that, if you follow different, seers and different oracles and psychics and things out there, there's some different timelines that have been sort of suggested that what would happen. Some of those timelines haven't felt very good. They felt a little scary. They felt a little bit like, oh, what are we going to do if this timeline happens? They felt a little dark. The good news is humanity really is waking up so amazingly fast. And this year has really helped that. The 2020 vision year and, taking the rose-colored glasses off and seeing everything so clearly has come with a very deep gift of many people who really weren't awakened at a very high level to their higher self, to their spirit, to their source, and had a belief in all these different structures and different programs. They're really getting a dose of medicine very, very fast about kind of the reality of what's happening on the planet. So as some of these things have been predicted to happen, and I won't even give you suggestions of what they are because I don't want to get your wheels turning, but there's been some suggestions of some pretty dark things that were going to happen as all of this unfolded. It's really obvious to me, because of the level of awakening and the level of love and growth and expansion that is happening on this planet, that we're not going to have to experience some of those traumas and dramas and awakenings through some of the difficulties that have been suggested. There's been a lot suggested through nature, through natural disasters. And although the earth will continue to do her thing, I don't think we're going to experience nearly the drama as what was suggested, a year ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And that's really a tribute to, all of us coming together and deciding by connecting to our higher selves that we don't have to learn that hard. It doesn't have to be that difficult for humanity to get it. And so what's going to truly happen over this next year and beyond really remains to be seen. But we are creating this moment by moment together. We are co-creating this with spirit. There's not something out there that just has control over us, that is doing everything without, our participation or without our consent. It's asking us, spirit is really asking us to step into our truth, our power, and our sovereignty. And on this show, I speak a lot about sovereignty, that wholeness and that completeness within yourself, within myself, where we are autonomous to any outside influences or energetics. And we are so fully committed and connected to our spiritual selves and to the Holy Spirit, that we're able to use our own discernment, we're able to use our own intuition, and we're able to navigate our choices in this world according to what feels really good and authentic and right to our soul. And having said that, we are moving into something that's called the Age of Aquarius. About every 2,000 years, the epoch of time shifts, changes, and we come out of one constellation, the last one being Pisces, and we enter what's called a new age. And we are coming into the entrance of the Age of Aquarius out of Pisces. And Pisces was all about, the age of Christ being born, and polarities and dualities with one fish swimming one way and one fish swimming the other way. And we're moving into what's known as the Age of Aquarius. And some of you might remember the song from like the 50s or the 60s, the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. Well, that's what we're stepping into. And the Jupiter and Saturn convergence, and a convergence just basically means that these two planets, Jupiter being the biggest planet in our solar system, expansiveness, abundance, and Saturn being the second biggest planet, being the spiritual teacher, kind of came together in the skies, or appeared to come together, and they're sitting less than a degree apart right now up in the heavens. And when you go out and look at it, because they're so bright, they're so big and bright together, they are said to resemble the Star of Bethlehem. And it's maybe been suggested that when the Star of Bethlehem appeared in the skies 2,000 years ago, that it was these two planets coming together, kind of giving that illusion. From where I'm at in Kauai, it looked very big and beautiful and bright. I saw images from other parts of the world, and I mean, it was just magnificent the way that these two planets showed themselves as a great star of light. And I could totally see how, humanity at that time and all the players in the great birthing story might have looked up and seen that as a sign from the heavens that something very significant had been birthed, which became the man known as Jesus Christ. Today, on December 21st, on this great conversion, and seeing the Age of Aquarius, and I say the Age of Aquarius because these two planets came together in 0 degrees. We're right at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the solstice. And the solstice, if you follow ancient texts, you follow, the Egyptian writings and writings from some other great countries, they talk about the birth of the sun, S-U-N, being December 21st. The ancients talk about December 21st being the darkest day and the birth of the sun. Okay, so the ancients have talked about this date where we have the longest night of the year for thousands and thousands of years. They took it and they meant it metaphorically. The sun would seem to die on the longest night of the year, and then we would go 3 days to December 24th. We'd come out of the darkness, and then we would start to see the days get a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. So history repeating itself, and the spirals of time repeating themselves, where we're on that same spiral that we were 2,000 some odd years ago with the birth of the Christ child to the birth of this star. Well, maybe nobody is literally being born, but maybe it means the birth of the Christ within all of us. The Christ child, the divine child that lives in all of us. So when I look at time, I see it as, spirals that kind of weave and bob and move. It's not linear. Time is on a spiral, and all these spirals are layered on top of each other, which can be a big thing to kind of wrap your mind around. So to simplify it, to have it make sense to your left brain, just see it as loops and spirals coming around and all time happening at the same time. So the significance that we have this kind of metaphorical birthing of the Christ happening in all of us, it is quite significant. It really does mean that the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius, remember, Aquarius is all about ingenuity. Pisces is all about feeling. It's very Neptunian. It's ruled by the planet Neptune. It's very dreamy. Neptune can be all about secrets. Neptune can be all about hiding things or making things appear illusionary, okay, which is really what's been happening for a couple thousand years. When we come into the age of Aquarius and we have Saturn, the spiritual teacher, who is ruled by Metatron Kronos, and then we have Jupiter coming together, when we have the teacher and the expander coming together in a sign that is all about creativity, ingenuity, forward thinking, groundbreaking, it means that we get to take all of everything that was maybe hidden or not in focus or kept in secrets, kept illusionary, and we get to bring it forward and we get to transmit it, we get to recreate it into something new. So I mentioned before that we are completing a spiral of time from 13,000 years ago as Atlantis, from the last fall of Atlantis. Atlantis was very technology oriented. Atlantis was all about using that left brain to see what we could create. And really in Atlantis, everything went all went a little bit too far. Technology took over, AI took over, and science and technology were more important than humanity. Science and technology were more important than our spiritual connection. And the scientists and the great teachers were very much put on pedestals for their work. And they kind of usurped the priest and priestesshood and the great teachers in the temples who were there to keep people connected to land and to nature. So as we enter this new age of Aquarius, and I've kind of named it the new Atlantis. I've called it the Atlantean New Year. Because the energy around this date is going to allow us to go into, let's face it, technology is not going away. It's going to let us go deeper into technology and science, but do it in a way that is Aquarian. Aquarian is humanitarian. The main theme of an Aquarius, it is what is good for the all. What is good for the totality of humanity, and how do we bring this forth in a highly benevolent way? So think about the Christ child being born under these same circumstances, right? And having it mirror the Christ birthing within all of us, and seeing the birthing of the new Atlantis that is going to carry the humanitarian, the magical child, the Christ child, into the next 2,000 years and recreate what was birthed on the spiral of the last fall of Atlantis. I'm going to take a short break. Later on in the program, we're going to do a break. I'm going to talk a little bit more. And then at the very end of this, I'm going to start to talk to you about the triunionization of the energies and how we can take the triunionization, the Holy Grail within us, and open that up and get ready to express it out in the world in the new golden age of Atlantis. I'll see you in just a moment.
Your inspiration all day on transformationtalkradio.com.
I have had such a good time on Tales from the Merworld Radio. It has been an opportunity for me to expand myself so dramatically and become much braver in my voice, to speak about the things that I'm passionate about that are a little bit out there. Your staff is amazing. Olivia is amazing. Jessica, everybody. Anytime I need anything, they show up right away. So thank you for having such an amazing team that is allowing me this platform to do what Spirit wants me to do.
Tune into 3 Things I've Learned with Susan Dolce every first and third Tuesday of the month at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. Join Susan and her guests as they share the stories that shift our souls about radical transformations, courageous breakthroughs, and life lessons. 3 Things I've Learned with Susan Dolce. For more information, go to transformationtalkradio.com or visit Susan's website at susandolce.com.
Aloha, everybody. Welcome back to Tales from the Merworld Radio. I am your hostess, Ameera Beth Healer. And if you're just joining us, today I am talking about the great convergence in the skies and the solstice, December 21st, and everything that's kind of wrapped up significantly in this event. I talked a little bit about the age of Aquarius, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into the age of Aquarius, and I'm going to drop a little bit more numerology on you. I really like numbers. Today is a 1 day, and how you figure out the numerology of the day is you basically just take the day 12, 21, 20, 20, and you add all those digits up. So if you add all those digits up, you get a 10. And then we always reduce to the lowest digit. So it's a 1. So today is a 1 day. A 1 stands for new beginnings. And I mean, how exciting is God that he would not only have the solstice on December 21st equaling a 1, along with this convergence of Saturn and Jupiter right at 0 degrees Aquarius, right at the beginning. The magic that's happening right now, it's really just mind-blowing. And, you know, for anybody who wonders, is it a coincidence? Is it an accident? I mean, how is any of this an accident, right? It's all divinely orchestrated. And as we enter into the age of Aquarius and we all go deeper into that divine, magical child within ourselves, learning to see this world with awe and wonder and through the eyes of a child, and to notice the synchronicities and to really pay attention and notice how deeply we are being cared for and carried through this time. I talked a little bit ago about timelines, about how timelines really they're changing because of the consciousness of humanity. Like we are weaving and bobbing and recreating new pathways into our future that I don't think the seers and the psychics 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years thought we were going to be able to do. It's a very exciting time to be here. It's a very exciting time to stand before you all and offer my thanks and my gratitude for my small place in all of this. And speaking of gratitude, somebody I've got to make sure I thank is Jean-Luc Bozzoli, who is this amazing artist on the Big Island, who has allowed me over this past year to utilize his art in all of my programs. He has the most beautiful 3D Lemurian Atlantean influenced artwork on the planet, in my opinion. You can find his work at theHealing Within. You can order prints from him. You can take a look at everything he has to offer and then learn a little bit more about, even get on his email list, and he'll talk to you a little bit more about, the paintings and his drawings and where he sees humanity going in conjunction with all the amazing changes that are happening right now. So 13,000 years ago was the last fall of Atlantis. And the last fall of Atlantis came because the Atlanteans, the beings there, were more attached to, their ego and technology and science than they were to nature, and then they were to one another. And that, crack or that fracture in the matrix of Atlantis really just created a situation where the Godhead decided that too much destruction was on its way due to, the reactions of the people. And he took the experiment out to reinsert a new experiment. One of the things that happened during the last fall of Atlantis was that the fallout, because so many people came, so many of us came from so many lands and star systems, and we brought that trauma back into the ethers with us as we passed. Many beings died with a lot of trauma from Atlantis and Lemuria. And that kind of created a reverberation out in the cosmos that took the future of many planets and of many star systems and star beings kind of off course. So we have spent 13,000 years basically trying to right the wrongs or learn from that experience. And the most significant thing to happen in my mind, the most significant thing that is happening on this day, as we go through the eye of the needle, that 0 point, it's a 0 point of the age of Aquarius, as we enter that centrifugal center of the hub of the eye of the needle, we are actually now going to begin the reversal, the actual reversal and course correction from the last 13,000 years. We are going to be able to balance and right the wrongs, I guess you would say, and reinvent everything and rewire everything to create a different outcome for the totality of humanity and the totality for all these other beings who are star families and our brothers and sisters. And what I mean by a reversal, I mean that everything now that needs to be dismantled and needs to be rebuilt, that's basically happening right now. You're going to see that over the next year and 2 years, the final fallout of these, these structures and these programs and these institutions that really haven't been serving us are going to be flatlined. So that's something new, humanitarian in service to humanity, utilizing not only science and technology, but utilizing our connection to the earth and the natural rhythms and cycles to the earth and to one another. You're going to see the rebuilding of that and the course correcting of all those things that have taken place. You're going to see the rebalancing of the masculine and feminine. You're going to see men and women literally rise up as equals together on this planet, and also that internal balancing of the masculine and feminine within. It's not going to take 13,000 years to reverse and rewrite the spiral. That's the good news. But it is going to take some time. It took us this long to get here. It's going to take us a little bit longer to back out and rebuild, but I promise you it won't be 13,000 years in the waiting before we really experience what is the new golden age. And another kind of cool thing that happened today is Pele on the Big Island erupted. And I say cool because when nature all comes together, nature has its own intelligence. Nature knows what's happening. And the Hawaiian Islands are, they're very significant energy for the planet. And the Big Island being kind of the root chakra, I'm on Kauai, which is the crown chakra. It means, again, movement in that foundation of the totality of the planet. It's, Madame Pele and her fires and her of recreation and transformation, that goddess energy just like making itself known on the planet. And probably we're going to see a few more things, I would guess, over the next few weeks or over the next month, few things kind of lighting up and changing on the planet as everything is meant to coincide and work together. So I will encourage you to stay very strong and very, very stable and connected to, to spirit, to your higher self. And as all these things kind of start to shake over the next, I'm going to give it about a 30-day. I'm going to call it about a 30-day window till January 20th. As all these things kind of work them out through the restart, just know that you are okay, that you are okay. You are safe. You are an eternal being. And life is happening so not by accident right now that we can just really trust and we can tap into, embracing all the beautiful changes. I'm going to talk a little bit about something called the triunionization of timelines. So most of us work in something that is known as a polarity. Everything in life kind of seems to come as good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, black, white. We see it as opposites. We experience life through contrast, looking at what we don't want to figure out what we want, or looking at what we don't like to figure out what we like. Most contrast, most things that are in polarity on this world kind of have a masculine and feminine effect to them. That seems to be the polarity. Either we choose this or we choose that. There's one way or there's another way. Well, it turns out that there's actually a third option that is being presented to humanity right now. And that third option is taking the masculine and the feminine, which are seeming to be polarities or opposites, and creating a triunion or a triangle with the divine child. Okay, remember we talked about the divine child being you and being me, being connected to that Christed energy. So when we come up out of 0 point, where everything is a good or a bad or an opposite, and we look to that triunionization, that third, that actually brings all 3 points of light together and creates another segue, then we realize that we don't have to be in judgment or be looking at only duality from here on out, that we can be looking to the fires of the Holy Spirit and that divine child option that is in all of us, that is our humanity coupled with our Christhood, to find another way through the eye of the needle. So it doesn't just have to be one way, and it doesn't have just to be another way. There's something else that is presenting itself to us. And, if you would just really be willing to tap in to options and possibilities that maybe you didn't think were possible, or maybe you didn't know about, and look for them and open up to them, I think we're going to find that a lot of what we're fighting about in life is going to resolve itself. A lot of things we're waiting for to see what will happen, because the level of our consciousness has been raised to the point where now we are able to do that. We don't just have two choices. We actually are going to go to a third timeline. And the people who will be going to that third timeline will be, those of us who are really just open to it. Being aware of it is great. Being aware of all this spiritual stuff, working on yourself, doing your shadow work, being as authentic and purposeful in your life as you can, and really being in that heart space of love are the keys. There are people out in the world who are doing this. They don't even have the language really to do it, as I'm expressing to you, but they are living fully from their heart center, and they believe in the power of the human spirit, and they have a trust and a belief in God and in source energy that's really what is going to allow us to transcend what we think is going to happen, or the choices that we think is going to happen, into something that might actually be really, really fantastic. You will find that people who live side by side with you might be living and experiencing a totally different reality than the one you're experiencing. And I would guess that you're probably already seeing that happen now. 2020 has been an extremely polarizing year. And the people that I know who are actually thriving and doing well with everything that's happening are the people who have really surrendered to spirit. They're the people that have really embraced all of this change. And when I say embrace it, we don't necessarily have to accept everything that's happening, because let's face it, a lot of things that are happening out in the world are really not sustainable, and they're not conducive to healing humanity. But the surrender comes with knowing that it all has to get really, really bad and has to be really all in our faces before we can resolve it and before we can find other solutions, because there are a lot of people out there who are very connected to the way things are. They're very comfortable. They're very connected to the mundane and to the predictability, even if it's not really serving them. Like, humans are such creatures of habit, and to know we have the sameness and the sameness all the time is kind of part of a human programming. It makes us comfortable, to get up and know what we're going to have for breakfast, or get up and know that our car is going to start, or get up and know like where we're going to go to our job or where we're going to go to school. Like that predictability and that sameness, there's a level of comfort in that, even if we get kind of bored sometimes. And unconsciously, there's been enough of humanity that has decided that the complacency and the sameness, and even what some of us are going to school for, or maybe what some of us are going to work for, they're not supporting the creativity that is within our souls. We kind of live in this world where, you know, many people are forced to live in a box and in the confines and the parameters of somebody else's rules, you know, of what somebody else wants to have happen in the world. And, you know, humans, we're not meant to be sheep. We're meant to be lions. We are meant to stand up on our feet or maybe on our hind legs and roar from the highest hilltops and speak our truth and be creators. I mean, that's what we are. So we're coming out of a time where the comfy places and the comfy lives are going to change and give way to something that allows us to be more expressive in our natural human abilities. Many people who have always wanted to do this or that with their lives and couldn't because of a job or because of other obligations are going to now find that the world is opened up because something they are involved in has ended to begin something new. We will also find that there will be a number of people who will decide to exit this planet over the next years. Their souls have reached a completion point from wherever they're at and whatever assignment they are here to express out into the world. And their ascension will come through the death of the body. Everybody gets to go through ascension. And, you know, ascension is taking our physical bodies with us into a higher plane or a higher place of consciousness. And for some people, their soul body contract will expire and they will move off into another assignment, either in another body, in another timeline on Earth, or into another reality, into another universe. And when these things start to happen, you know, energy goes out so other energy can come in. The New Earth children are coming in droves, you know, and many of those who you love who will be exiting over the years, or even if your soul decides to exit, there's a really good chance that you're going to come back into the planet that you helped create as, you know, as a New Earth child, as a new Atlantean. I'm calling this the Atlantean New Year because from my perspective and from what Spirit has told me, the rebirth of the great kingdom of Atlantis, which is really what I am here to, you know, not only to talk about, but kind of to help lead the way. The new kingdom of Atlantis, the new golden age, where we live on this planet, not through technology and science, but using that as an asset and fully live, you know, as one within the law of one is, I mean, that's upon us. We're here. If you're interested in learning anything else about the great kingdom of Atlantis, learning about the Mer people, I have lots of these videos on my YouTube, and I also have a website with some different programs and some different courses. I hold a sacred geometry course, usually yearly, but then I have the courses recorded on my website that you can pick up rather inexpensively. I teach past life regression therapy as well as deliver past life regressions. And if you want to visit my website, which is ameerabeth.com, you'll see all kinds of great opportunities to learn a little bit more about, you know, the Mer people. My people are the Mer. They are the Mer, the water people. And you will see over time that the Mer people who are helping to hold the grids of the waters with the whales and the dolphins together, the emergence of us back into this land, which is, you know, this earth is a water planet. The emergence of all of us will actually enable you to interact with us, you know, with our Mer family in real time. There will come a time where you will interact with the Titans. You will interact with the Lemurians. You will interact with the star beings. We will have full access to meeting and greeting with all these, quote, mythological beings or interdimensional beings because of the evolution that happens through our bodies and through our consciousness that are going to enable like the veils to be totally lifted and revealed and allow us to work and walk on this planet as, you know, as meta-humans, as true earth angels. I also am very involved in sacred geometry. I have a clothing company on my website called Wisdom Wear, and I put crystals into the ink of the sacred geometry and screen print onto organic clothing. I work very closely with Archangel Metatron, and I can always feel him right here next to me. And I have Neptune Poseidon right here, back here beside me. And Metatron was the creator of the great kingdom of Atlantis. And I recently learned there is a connection with him, with the aspect that is Poseidon or Neptune now, which makes perfect sense to me, because Neptune, Poseidon, takes care of the geometry in the water grids. And Metatron takes care of, you know, providing that physical geometry, the Metatron's cube geometry, which is the building blocks of everything physical in our life, everything we create through. Metatron was the main builder, the main architect of Atlantis. He was the one who came in with the architects, with the great councils, and used sacred geometry to put together structurally, very intentionally, the way the people lived and moved, all the buildings in Atlantis. And I foresee a time where Atlantis will be back to advise, you know, the New Earth gardeners and the New Earth school builders and the New Earth temple builders on how to create geometrically, you know, the gardens and the farms and formations that are going to best support and sustain us. Of course, we all know this deep down because we're all there. We all have this information encoded in our DNA. So whether he comes literally to instruct or we all rise up, you know, as meta-humans, as fully realized beings, and we step into our role as, you know, co-creators through sacred geometry and co-creators of, you know, intentional lives and beauty and grace on this planet, just know that that little Christ seed that is within you, that little Christ seed is waiting to bloom and to blossom and allow you, you know, full access to these capabilities. We have energy centers in our body. We all know this. We have an energy center called the 13th chakra that lies right here in the center between your heart and your solar plexus. The sacred soul is the energy center that directly connects us to our Christ lineage. And because we are moving into a time now, a third timeline, where we are able to fully connect to that triunionization, to that Christed timeline, just know that that's available within you. The heart represents the mother. The solar plexus represents the father. And the center is the sacred soul chakra. That is the divine Christ child. So when we talk about, you know, the Holy Grail, and we hear about, you know, what really is the Holy Grail, and you hear about the Holy Trinity, we're carriers of that. We are carriers of that right within our bodies, our heart, our sacred soul, and our solar plexus. And if you were just to take a few minutes every day, and we'll just do this very quickly, and just tap and breathe into that space between your heart and your solar plexus, and just acknowledge that it's there and breathe into it. And I see it as white light, beautiful, magnificent white light. And your sacred soul chakra is connected to your purpose. It's connected to your intuition, your power center, and it's connected to your heart. And all three of these energy centers really meant to work together. They are meant to become one, vibrating frequency of light, one energy generator that fully allows you to access, the masculine and feminine within you, as well as that magical child. So just tapping into that energy center and seeing or breathing it in as the white light and allowing it to expand and to open within and around you daily, if you can, will help you to continue to tap into, just that power of the Holy Spirit that really lives and moves and breathes within you. This is my last show on Transformation Talk Radio for now. I say for now because very strongly would like to return in the future. I want to give a very big thanks to Olivia, my producer, who has done a wonderful job for me this year, holding space and giving me beautiful recordings. I want to thank everybody at Transformation Talk Radio for your love and your support, and for everything that you have given me in every moment, helping me to grow as a speaker, as a teacher, as a facilitator, and really just give thanks to God for this opportunity that landed at my feet on January 2nd when I got an email from TTR asking if I would be interested in this opportunity. I am going to continue to create content on different kinds of platforms. I'm going to continue to grow my YouTube channel as much as I possibly can. And in the meantime, 19 or 20 shows in, it's just been a real pleasure and a real honor to stand here and speak to all of you out on this planet. You can find me at ameerabeth.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram under wisdomware_Kauai. I am always happy to communicate, to take questions, and of course, hold space for sessions for your healing. Thank you for allowing me to express myself. And from the beautiful island on Kauai on December 21st, the winter solstice, I send you oceans of aloha. You have been listening to Tales from the Merworld Radio with me, Ameera Beth, exploring the mysteries of Atlantis and Lemuria. Tune in live every second and fourth Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com, where we raise vibrations through stimulating conversations, exploring the mysteries of Atlantis and Lemuria. For more information or to connect with me, visit ameerabeth.com.